Hello everyone, welcome to Code to Enhance Learning's Basic AI/ML video series. My name is Aniket and today we are starting our very first AI/ML lesson called Smart Subject Detector. In this lesson, we will teach a computer how to read a question and decide whether it belongs to math, science or English. Sounds fun, right? Let's begin. Imagine you are in a school library trying to find the right book to answer a question. Now, the question could be what is gravity or what is 12 multiply 3. Sometimes it's confusing, right? You may not be sure whether this question belongs to science, math or English. So, here's the problem. It's not always easy to figure out which subject a question belongs to, and that makes it harder to find the right book quickly. Now, let's pause here for a moment and think. What could be a simple solution to this problem? How can we make it easier to find the right subject or book in the library? You can pause the video and think about it for a few seconds. I hope you have thought of some interesting ideas. Maybe we could mark bookshelves with clear subject labels or arrange books alphabetically by topic, or even keep a simple chart that tells which subject a question belongs to. Interesting, right? Now let's move ahead and see how we can build something fun and useful based on this idea. So now that we know the purpose, let's define exactly what we will accomplish today. So our objective is to build a Scratch application powered by AI. When we type a question, the AI will detect the subject, math, science or English, and then display the matching bookshelf on the screen. By doing this, we will learn how AI can be applied to real classroom tasks. Now, let's take a look at how our Smart Subject Detector works. On the screen, you can see a library backdrop with 3 different bookshelves, one for math, one for science, and one for English. In the center, you have our friendly AI robot sprite, your smart library assistant. Let's start the project by clicking the green flag. The robot greets us and asks us to type a question. Let's try typing what is a verb. Now, when we press enter, look at that. The robot quickly identifies that the question belongs to the English subject and guides us by saying this question is related to English. You will find the right book on the English rack. Isn't that cool? Just like a real librarian, this virtual robot helps us figure out the correct subject for any question we ask. Now that we know our objective, let's see how the Smart Subject Detector will actually work. Imagine this. A student types a question into the computer. The AI model reads it carefully and predicts whether it's a math, science or English question. Based on that prediction, our Scratch program will display the correct bookshelf on the screen. So the computer is not just reading the words, it's actually understanding the subject behind the question and guiding us to the right place. So let's begin with a fun activity called Identify Boy and Girl Image using Teachable Machine. Now, let me ask you, can a computer recognize whether a photo is of a boy or a girl? I know, as a humans, we can look at someone's face or clothes and quickly tell. But what about a computer? How would it understand that? Well, today we are going to teach a computer to tell the difference with your help. We will use a fun tool called Teachable Machine that can learn from examples, photos, sounds, or even body poses. In this activity, we will give the computer some examples, a few photos of boys and few photos of girls. Then we will test it with a new picture and see if it guesses correctly. Are you ready to see how smart it gets? So first of all, open teachablemachine.com, click Get Started, choose Image Project and then Standard Image Model. Then create 2 classes, Boy and Girl. Then for Boy class, upload or capture a few boy images. And for Girl class, upload or capture a few girl images. We are teaching the computer by showing it labeled examples. Then click Train Model and wait. Test with a new photo or your live webcam feed. Let's see, will it get it right? That's it. The computer just learned to tell the difference between boys and girls, all from examples we gave it. Think about this. The way we trained it here is similar to how we will train our AI in coding projects, but instead of pictures, we might use text, sounds, or other data. So, you just saw how we trained a computer to recognize boys and girls using images. This process of teaching a machine through examples is a part of something bigger called artificial intelligence. AI is when machines can do tasks that usually need human intelligence, like understanding language, recognizing pictures, or making decisions. Now that we know what artificial intelligence is, let's go a little deeper. AI is a huge field, and to make it easier to understand, it is divided into some key areas. There are 4 main areas of AI that we should know about. First one is machine learning. Second one is natural language processing. Third one is computer vision. And fourth one is robotics. Let's explore each one with a simple explanation and example. Machine learning. This is when a computer learns from examples and gets better at a task over time. For example, if we show a computer many photos of cats and dogs, it can learn to tell them apart. Second one is natural language processing. This is the part of AI that helps computers understand and respond to human languages like English or Hindi. For example, when you ask ChatGPT a question, it understands your words and gives you a reply. Third one is computer vision. This helps computers to see and understand images or videos just like humans do. For example, your phone using face recognition to unlock the screen. And last one is robotics. This field combines AI with machines that can do tasks on their own. For example, a robot vacuum cleaner that moves around the house and cleans without needing much help. We just learned about the 4 key areas of AI: machine learning, natural language processing, computer vision, and robotics. But how do we recognize them in real life? Let's test ourselves with a fun activity called Who Am I? I will show you 4 real life situations. For each one, think for a moment and decide which AI field it belongs to. Ready? Let's begin. First one is vacuum cleaner robot. It moves around the house, avoids obstacles, and cleans automatically. Which field of AI is this? Let's think. Yes, the correct answer is robotics, because it's a physical machine doing tasks using sensors and logic. So second one is face recognition lock. Your phone unlocks when it sees your face. Which AI field is this? Think. Correct. It's computer vision, since it helps machines see and recognize face. Third one is apple or banana classifier. A computer is trained with fruit photos and learns to recognize them. Which field is this? Yes, the answer is machine learning, because the computer is learning from examples. And last one is ChatGPT question answering. You ask it a question in English and it replies. Which AI field is this? Exactly, it's natural language processing, because it understands and responds to human language. Well done. You have just linked real-world examples to the 4 main areas of AI. This helps us see how these fields show up in our daily lives. Now that we understand what machine learning is, let's go a little deeper. Machine learning is not just one single method. It has different types of learning approaches, just like we human learn in different ways. So there are 4 main subparts of machine learning: supervised learning, unsupervised learning, reinforcement learning, and deep learning. So first one is supervised learning. This is like learning with the help of teacher. The computer is trained using data that already has the correct answers. For example, we show it photo of apples and bananas, and we also tell it which fruit is which. Later, when we give it a new photo, it can recognize whether it's an apple or a banana. Second one is unsupervised learning. This is like exploring and learning on your own without guidance. The computer is given data without any labels or answers, and it tries to find patterns by itself. For example, if we give the computer lots of fruit photos, it may group all the round fruits together and the long fruits together, even if it doesn't know their names. Third one is reinforcement learning. This is learning by trial, error, and rewards. Think about when you play a new video game. When you do something right, you get points. When you make a mistake, you lose points and learn not to repeat it. For example, a robot moving through a maze tries different paths, makes mistakes, and eventually learns the best way by getting rewards. And last one is deep learning. This is a special and more advanced type of machine learning. It uses something called neural networks, which work a little like a human brain. This helps the computer understand very complex data like images, speech, or even language. So, we just learn about the 4 types of machine learning: supervised, unsupervised, reinforcement, and deep learning. So now let's test our understanding with a fun activity called Who Am I? I will show you 4 real-life examples. Your task is to decide which machine learning type each one belongs to. I will give you 3 seconds to think before revealing the correct answer. So first example is recognize cat and dog by images. A computer is trained using many animal pictures to recognize cats and dogs. Think, which machine learning type is this? Yes, this is supervised learning because the images they have labels telling the computer which is a cat and which is a dog. Second example is self-driving cars. A car that learns by interacting with its environment, making decisions like stopping, turning, and avoiding obstacles. Which type is this? This is deep learning because modern self-driving cars rely on neural networks to process complex data like road signs, cameras, and sensors. So third example is robot in a maze. A robot learns to find the fastest route in a maze by getting rewards for correct moves. So which ML type is this? Exactly. This is reinforcement learning because the robot improves through trial, error, and rewards. And last example is shopping habits. An AI groups customers with similar shopping habits without knowing anything about them beforehand. Which machine learning type is this? Right, this is unsupervised learning because the computer is finding patterns in data without labels. Well done, you have matched real-world example to the 4 machine learning types. Since our Smart Subject Detector project is based on supervised learning, let's understand it first. Supervised learning means training a computer using examples with correct answers already provided. The computer looks at both the question and the correct label and gradually learns to predict new answers. For example, if we show it a fruit picture and label it apple or banana, the computer uses their pairs of data to learn. Later, when we give it a new fruit photo, it can say whether it's an apple or banana. In today's project, we will use supervised learning with questions and subjects, for example, labeling questions as math, English, or science. Now, how does supervised learning connect to text? Let's explore. Text classification is a supervised machine learning technique where we teach a computer to organize text into categories. Some real-life applications include sorting emails into spam versus inbox. Like identifying, first one is sorting emails into spam versus inbox. Second one is identifying reviews as happy or sad. Third is detecting the language of text like English or Hindi. And fourth one is grouping articles or messages by topic. Our project will use text classification to detect whether a question belongs to math, science, or English. Now, let's talk about the tool that will help us build this project. We will use a very simple student-friendly tool called Machine Learning for Kids. Here, you can train a computer with examples just like supervised learning and then connect it to the Scratch to make fun interactive projects. The official URL is displayed on your screen. This is the platform we will be working with. Now, you may wonder, how do we get started on this platform? So, teachers or parents can sign up to create accounts, but students can also explore without registration. On the home page, just click on Try it without registration to begin experimenting. Let's see how that works. So, I open the Machine Learning for Kids website. On the login page, I click on Try it without registration and I can start using it right away. Now, it's time to set up our Smart Subject Detector project. First of all, click on Add a new project. Then name your project Smart Subject Detector. Select project type, which is recognizing text. Language is English, and choose where to store, in your web browser or in the cloud. So we choose in the cloud. Finally, click Create. That's it. Our project setup is complete and we are ready to train our model. Before we add training data, let's explore the dashboard. The dashboard has three key areas. First one is training data. This is where we all add labeled examples like math, English and science questions. Second one is learn and test. This is where the computer trains on our examples and we can test it. And third one is make. This allows us to connect our trained model with Scratch to build an interactive project. These three steps form the complete cycle of machine learning in this tool. Now, let's add the data that will train our model. First of all, click on Train. Then click on Add a label. We will add labels Math, English, Science and an optional Other. Now, add around 10 short examples for each label. Like for math, we add what is 12 multiply 3, 15 divide 5, and some other. For English, we add what is noun, opposite of happy, and some other. For science, like what is gravity, explain water cycle, and many more. And in other section, we add who is the Prime Minister of India and some other. Once we have added examples for each level, click Back to Project. Training data is now ready. Now, let's train the computer and see if it works. Click on Learn and Test. Click Train New Machine Learning Model. After training finishes, type in a new question. For example, what is gravity? The model predicts the subject category correctly. Great! The model has learned to classify questions. Now let's go back to the project dashboard. Now it's time for a practice task. It's your turn to try independently. Create your own version of the Smart Subject Detector. Add 3-4 labels. Add 8 to 10 examples for each and train your model. Only after training should you move ahead to Scratch. Pause the video now and come back when you are ready. So I hope you are done with it. Let's move on to our next part. We have trained and tested our model, but the fun part is still ahead. Now we will use our model in Scratch to make it interactive. I will click Make, then select Scratch 3 and open it. See, a new Scratch window opens and you will notice a new set of machine learning blocks. That's how we know our trained model is connected. Now we are ready to build an interactive app with it. Before we jump into coding, let's pause for a very important step, which is abstraction. Abstraction means focusing only on the important details and ignoring the ones that don't matter right now. This helps us design our project clearly before we write a single line of code. Let's discuss together. What will happen on the Scratch stage? which sprite and backdrop will be used? Take a moment to think. Great. Keep your answers in mind because we will use them to plan our coding. Now, let's apply abstraction directly to our project. Here's our simple plan. The program will take text input from the user. The machine learning model will check the text and predict which subject it belongs to. The AI robot sprite will guide the user to the correct rack of books and we will increase the score by 1. If the subject is unknown, the sprite will simply say, I don't know. For design, we will use an AI robot sprite and a library backdrop. This simple plan acts like a roadmap. It keeps us focused on what really matters when we start coding. Now that we have planned, let's start building our stage. In Scratch, click on Choose a Backdrop and select the library backdrop or upload an image of library from your computer. Then, for the sprite, click Choose a Sprite and add the AI robot. This will form the stage and main character of our Smart Subject Detector project. Before we write code, let's quickly understand the special machine learning for kids blocks. These blocks allow Scratch to talk directly to the trained model. Let's go through them one by one. First one is Recognize Text Label. It predicts the subject label for any text the user types. The next one is Recognize Text Confidence. It shows how confident the model is in its prediction as a value between 0 and 1. The next one is Label Checkboxes. These represent the categories we train like math, English, science or other. The next one is Add Training Data. Text Label. Lets us add new training example directly from the Scratch. Then Train New Machine Learning Model. It retrains the model whenever we add more examples. Then last one is Machine Learning Model ready? It tells us whether the model is ready for use in Scratch. Together these blocks connect Scratch with our AI project and make it interactive. Now we will code our Smart Subject Detector in Scratch. I will build it step by step and you can follow along with me. Let's begin. First of all, from the event section, drag when green flag clicked block. It tells the program to start when we click the green flag. Then go to the variable section and create a new variable named Spore. And then drag set score to 0. This makes sure our score always starts fresh at 0. Then from the look section, I drag say block with 1 second and here I write hello students. Then I add another say block with time 2 seconds and here I write type a question. I will tell you the subject and where to find its books. This guides the user on what to do. Now from the control section, I take the forever loop. This allows the robot to keep asking and answering questions again and again. Then inside the forever loop, I add a block from sensing, which is ask and wait. And here I write what's your question. This lets the user type their question. Now we check what subject the model predicts. From control section, I drag if then block. Then from the operators section, I drag the equal to block. Now from the machine learning for kids extension, I choose the recognize text block. I place it inside the if condition and check if the label equals math. And then I drag here a answer block. If it is math, the robot will say, this question is related to math, you will find the books in the math rack. Then I increase the score by 1 to reward the user. Next, I duplicate the same structure for English. If the recognized text equals English, the robot says, this question is related to English, you will find the books in the English rack. Then it adds 1 to the score. And then now I add another check for science. If the answer belongs to science, the robot says this question is related to science. you will find the books in the science rack. Again, the scores increases by 1. Finally, we handle the other case. If the model cannot match the text to math, English or science, the robot says, "Sorry, I don't know." This way, the user knows the question is outside our trained subject. Now, our program is complete. The robot takes the user's question, the machine learning model predicts the subject, and the robot tells the user the right book rack. Let's test it. I will type, "What is gravity?" It predicts science. Now, what is a noun? It predicts English. Perfect. The scores also increase each time. See, our project is working well. Now, let's move on to our quiz section. Before we wrap up, let's check how much they have learned today. I will ask a few quick questions. Think for a few seconds before I reveal the answer. Question number 1 is, what is artificial intelligence? So you have 5 seconds to guess the correct answer and your time starts now. Yes, the correct answer is option C. Question number 2. What is machine learning? Again, you have 5 seconds to guess the correct answers and your time starts now. I hope you guess the correct answer. The correct answer is option B. Question number 3. What is supervised learning? You have 5 seconds to guess the correct answer and your time starts now. So, the correct answer is option C. Question number 4. What happens when you click the train button in machine learning for kids? You have 5 seconds to guess the correct answer and your time starts now. The correct answer is option B. And last question is, look at the scratch code below. When the green flag is clicked, the sprite says, "Hello student," and type a question and I will tell you the subject. If the user types math, the sprite says, "This looks like a math question," and increase the score by 1. Will the program given below work? Say yes or no. You have 5 seconds to guess the correct answer and your time starts now. So the correct answer is yes, this code will work. So that's all for today's guys. Today we learned how artificial intelligence works, explored the main areas of AI, and understood the different types of machine learning. We also created our own project called the Smart Subject Detector, where we trained a model and connected it with Scratch to make it interactive. That's all for today's lesson. I am Aniket and I will see you in the next session of our basic AI/ML series. Thank you.